Mike McCarthy understands. There's a coach on the staff that was a Super Bowl appearing head coach, and Dan Quinn, who could easily be the interim coach third, fourth week of football season. And then there's another guy who is chilling somewhere waiting to figure out whether or not he wants to coach the Dallas Cowboys next year, depending on how deep Mike McCarthy run is toward a championship. And that's a good thing for him. He doesn't have to, it's very difficult at times, Jay, in life in general, when you deal with someone that you don't know about, but when you know about them and what they are, you can deal with them differently. You can handle it. At least you're aware.
Meaning
and
Jerry.
I think he's aware of the situation. No, I mean Mike McCarthy.
No, I'm saying Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy is saying he's aware of who Jerry Jones is.
Oh, aware of Jerry Jones and that Sean Payton has a big-ass house not too far from the stadium.
One thing, Key, that impressed me about this, I just want to follow up with you for a second. Mike McCarthy, you don't win a Super Bowl because you don't have any kind of quality. Like, as much as I go at Mike McCarthy, he is a Super Bowl winning head coach, even if it was like almost from a past generation, the way the football keeps evolving.
But so is Sean Payton.
Right, you're right. And the thing that impressed me about McCarthy here was the fact that he acknowledges the elephant in the room. There are head coaches who would not mention Sean Payton's name. He brought up Sean Payton's name to the press. He said he talked about it with Jerry. I was impressed. He has some leadership qualities that you don't see in other areas. Jay, you were very critical of Matt Nagy, right? Because he seemed at times mealy-mouthed, like he didn't want to say certain things. And that is not Mike McCarthy. He was straightforward.
No. Key, there comes a point in all of our lives when you just have to look at the mirror and say, I got to go do it. Got to go. And I think the thing that I liked about the interview was that there was accountability there. Like, we all know what this is. Like, ain't nobody out here stupid. Sean Payton's looming. Super Bowl coach on the sideline. I get all that. But I have all the resources in the world. I have all the talent in the world. There are no excuses. And if I don't get it done, then I'm accountable enough to say it's time to move on. I respect the hell out of that. And that actually gives me insight to, I think, how this team is going to be this year. Now, they've always had high expectations. But I think if the team can take accountability and ownership the way their head coach can, if there's that trickle-down effect, Key, like, once again, like, that's what they have to go do because that's what it is.
And when coaches don't pan out with certain things in sports, winning, things of that nature, when you anticipate they should win and we question their coaching and stuff, a lot of the times it's because they are loyal to a fault when it comes to certain things. If you remember last year, who was Mike, not this past season, but his first season, who was Mike McCarthy's defensive coordinator? Mike Nolan. Who was Mike McCarthy's boss when he was in San Francisco? Mike Nolan. So he dug up Mike Nolan out of the ground after a hiatus of, I don't know what it was, 10 years or something like that, to become his defensive coordinator. So that's loyalty to a fault. So they come in, they switch up to Dan Quinn. And the reason I bring this up is, how can the Cowboys be better? Well, they can be better because they can run the football. When they ran the football and they gained over 100 yards, they were undefeated. But what happened was they stopped doing that. Kellen Moore decided he wants to throw the ball all over the lot because he's an ex-quarterback. Ex-quarterbacks as offensive coordinators, they have the tendency to want to do that.
Hold on, Key. But this is interesting to me, okay? Because I think people look at the Cowboys, they go, they have everything they need. So it must be the coach. So they got rid of the last coach. They bring in a new coach. If this doesn't work out, it must be the coach. They paid the quarterback. But when you say, Key, they have to, he wanted to throw it all over the lot, they have a lot of very good receivers, right?
Doesn't mean you got to throw it all over the lot,
but my point is, they also have a great quarterback. If Aaron Rodgers had a ton of great receivers
doesn't
or someone like that,
doesn't mean you got. That's part of the problem, Max.
But wait, Key, You'd want him to throw it if Aaron Rodgers had the entire Cowboys receiving core, you'd want him to throw it. Why don't you want Dak to throw it? And the reason I bring this up,
that doesn't sound like a disciplined mentality, though. That's saying, well, because I have all these pieces, I have to do it this way.
Exactly. Did you not just hear what I said, Max? When they ran the football and they gained over 100 yards, they were undefeated.
Yeah. Yeah,
so what does that say?
What it says to me is their quarterback isn't as good as their running back.
That's not what that says. What it says is we have a system in place, and when we get away from that system, we wind up screwing it up. And where I was headed to this is offensive line was shifty. They were in and out of the offensive line. But when you are loyal to a fault, Joe Philbin, who's the offensive line coach, is not an offensive line coach. He's a football coach. Okay, when he was in Green Bay, he was a pseudo-offensive coordinator, quarterback coach. Went to Miami, got fired, whatever the case is. He winds up back on Dallas staff. Now he's the offensive line coach. Nice guy, but you can't be a nice guy and coach offensive lineman. You got to be a prick. You got to be a real ass to coach offensive lineman because you got to be tough like them. That's another problem that they have on top of the Kellen Moore situation. And I understand what you're saying about, if you got this hotshot quarterback, how come they're not throwing it all over the lot? It's not that. It's you pick your spots when to throw. You pick your spots. Just because you got a plethora of weapons at the receiver position and you got a $200 million quarterback doesn't mean that you got to drop back 45 times to throw the damn football.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.